Okay, good morning, everybody. It is right at 9 o'clock, so I'm going to go ahead and get started. I want to welcome everybody. Thank you all for joining us this morning. My name is Crystal Gunther. I'm the Vice President of Community Philanthropy here at the Community Foundation. And this morning, just want to talk to you all, obviously, about our program this year, our scholarship program this year, and also have a special guest with us joining us this morning as well. But also want to introduce Margaret Brinkworth. She is also on the call this morning. She's the program associate here at the foundation. So again, thank you for joining us to hear a little bit more about the 2022-2023 school year scholarship program from the Community Foundation. Just really quick, before we get started this morning, I always like to share a little bit of high-level information about the Community Foundation for those that may be joining us that are not familiar with us and our work that we do in the community. The foundation was established in 1991, so actually almost 31 years ago now, to be the region's partner, resource, and steward for philanthropy. We were started with an initial $1 million gift from the Lilly Endowment, and today we manage over $160 million in charitable assets and oversee 280 plus funds established by very generous donors in our community that are supporting their own unique charitable intent. And currently our footprint covers Clark and Floyd counties. So our mission as a community foundation is to build enduring charitable resources used to positively impact our community by serving as a partner, a resource for our donors, their advisors, and our area nonprofit partners, fulfilling a leadership role on important community issues, making it simple for donors to fulfill their individual goals in giving back, and providing stewardship of those donors' gifts and charitable intent for generations to come. So that's a little bit of information about us. So let's take a look at what we accomplished last year, specifically through our scholarship program. In spring of 2022, the foundation awarded nearly $820,000 in scholarship awards, which does include the 4 Lilly Scholarship Awards that were made. We really are thankful for our generous donors in the community that partner with us. Through them, we've been able to support thousands of scholars over the past 31 years. But we couldn't reach all of the potential candidates that we do each year without the support, of course, of our local high schools and our counselors. Through our program at the foundation, we work with 25 high schools and over 50 counselors each year. And we thank you for the continued partnership that we have to make sure these dollars are awarded to our very deserving students in our communities. Let me. So our agenda for today, just a quick snapshot. We are going to go over any FAFSA updates. I don't think that there's a whole lot of updates, but we do have Jennifer Shelley, the Director of Financial Aid and Scholarships at IU Southeast, joining us this morning to answer any questions that you all may have. She'll be joining us for a few minutes. And then our general scholarship program overview, obviously we'll go over that, our PPA compliance certification form for those schools, those high schools that do have scholarships that are managed at the high school level through the high school selection committees. That's what that is specific to. And then high school selected scholar reporting process. So we'll talk a little bit about the new process that we had last year, and that will what that will continue to look like for this year when it comes to submitting those compliance certification forms with all of the supporting documentation for the recommendations this year. So let's see, Jennifer, are you on with us?
Yes.
Thank you for joining us. I really appreciate it. Again, Jennifer, there's not a whole lot, I think, of changes or updates, but I will turn it over to you for any insightful information you might have for our counselors that are joining us this morning.
Thank you. Hi, I'm Jennifer Shelley. I work at IU Southeast with financial aid and scholarships. I probably have not met most of you because I haven't worked here for a super long time, just over a year, but I started during the pandemic when everyone was working from home. So I haven't been to a lot of meetings and in-person things. So there's still lots of people I haven't met. Some of you are probably more familiar with my colleague, Jamie Mosby, but she is having a baby today. So she's otherwise occupied today. So congrats to her. So I'm filling in for her. As for FAFSA updates, there really isn't any updates. There's not any changes for this current academic year really with the FAFSA. I think part of that is because there are some big changes coming for the 24-25 FAFSA. So really there kind of hasn't been any changes leading up to that point, because some of the changes that are coming later on are some pretty substantial ones. So things have remained pretty much the same from last year to this year. One small thing that's kind of been, I think, confusing for students, excuse me, and parents has been selective service registration. That question is still on the FAFSA. So they still ask if you're a male, if you've registered for selective service. And if you say that you have not, there can be a comment code. There's a comment code that will appear on your FAFSA that looks like there's an error or a problem, when in reality there's not, because they have waived that. That no longer matters if you've registered for selective service or not. When it comes to financial aid eligibility, it used to be you had to be registered or you were not eligible. Now that's not the case, but the question is still there. So that can be confusing for families. That question is supposed to drop off for the next FAFSA round. So that will kind of clear itself up. But right now there has been some confusion with that one, because families will call and ask and say, oh, this comment's on here about selective service, but it actually has no applicability any longer. The other thing that they did this year, they did last year as well. So for this academic year as well, we don't have to do verification. So they have waived verification of the FAFSA, and we don't have to go out to all these different families and ask for copies of tax forms and all of, and who in the list of who all lives in the household and all those kind of things that we have had to in previous years in order to verify what was reported on the FAFSA. That was waived again. It can be a little bit confusing though, because there is still a small subset of families that will have to provide that information. If you indicated that you filed an amended tax return, we have to check that info. So there still are a few families that we're having to ask for all that tax info and paperwork. But it's hugely reduced from what it has been in the past. Those are kind of the two main, the only kind of snafus or questions that we've been getting on a regular basis with the FAFSA for this year. Because like I said, they really didn't make any changes, because they're going to make a lot of changes for 24-25.
Okay. Thank you for that, Jennifer. Is there anybody that has any questions? If you do, please feel free to use the chat feature during this presentation, and Margaret and I will try our best to make sure we monitor that. But I'm not seeing any questions in the chat right now. Jennifer, if you don't mind to just hang on for just maybe a couple more minutes in case some maybe do pop up, that would be really awesome. But I do appreciate you joining us this morning, and hopefully maybe if anything, then somebody's been able to meet you and maybe could reach out if they do have questions, if you don't mind that, if they have students with questions. So awesome. All right. Well, we'll keep moving then. And again, just please feel free to use the chat feature if you have any questions that you think of. So with our program this year, we have, let me get my 18 scholarships available, again, including the Lilly Endowment Community Scholarship, available through the Foundation's online applications. Our program offers a variety of different scholarships with, of course, varying criteria. So what I wanted to do really quick is, and many of you are familiar with this, is share our website. If you go to the foundation website, hopefully everybody can see this, sharing my screen. You go to the scholarships link on our website, and there's, of course, a lot of great information. There's the video that is accessible at any time for anybody to watch with regards to information about the program this year. And then, of course, there's the apply button for students to apply, as well as timeline information, and then the different scholarships available and what the different criteria are for the scholarships. One thing I did want to mention here is that at any time with these scholarships, we could end up awarding more than one or more than what we advertise there being. The donors sometimes will reach out to us halfway through the year and say, we want to actually give away 3 of those this year, or we want to increase the amount. So that can always change, and beknownst to us, unless the donor reaches out to us. But that's always a good thing for the students, is if we end up being able to give away more, or in number and or in amount. So again, this is the place to go to find information about the criteria for the scholarships. As far as applying, there is an apply for scholarships link as well. So this is where applicants will go to apply for both the general program and the Lilly Scholarship Program. And again, many of you are already familiar with our website, so just wanted to quickly pop that up for you. So this year, as far as the program timeline goes, we will be, of course, the application is already opened. It opened on August 15th, and it will remain open until September 15th. There was a change in the deadline. The initial invitation that went out to counselors did have that a week earlier, but we did feel providing an extra week was beneficial to the students. So we extended that an additional week to the 15th. So the application opened on August 15th. The deadline, it will close on September 15th. And then just for your information, this year, we will be allowing the counselors, as you may get some kind of last minute stragglers in, we will be allowing for the counselors to have until the 22nd, which is that next week, to complete any counselor requests that come in at the last minute on the 15th. That does not keep the portal open for the applicants. That only keeps it open for the counselors who get those requests to actually complete them. So there's an extra week. I would not advertise that to your students because it's not beneficial to them. It's only beneficial to the counselors for, again, any last minute ones that come in. There's a week that's kind of a grace period, if you will, to allow for you guys some time to get those last stragglers taken care of with the counselor request sections that come through. So the let's see, I think we have a question for the OGLE. Does a student need a letter of college acceptance at the time of application? Yes, that is something that the OGLE does typically request. Thanks, Kevin, for that question. Let's see, program timeline. So that should cover everything with regards to our timeline, just kind of the basic overview. Let's see, going to a little bit more specific timeline slide. As you can see, we have the September 15th deadline. September through October will be the committee review of all applications that are submitted. The students do have to submit a Lilly application separate from the general program, or what we call the common application. That will continue to be the same as it has been in past years. The student will be responsible, the applicant will be responsible for uploading their transcript, but they also will be responsible for sending a counselor request to their counselor for the counselor to complete some information with regards to academic status, so GPA and things of that nature. That will remain the same as well this year. October, we will have, October will be around the 10th. We will have the Lilly Scholar semifinalists will be notified. And then also in October, we will have those interviews for the Lilly semifinalists. And then of course, any that are not semifinalists will also be notified as well of that status. And then of course, in May, June timeframe is when all scholars are announced at the award ceremonies. The question, is there a target of number of Lilly semifinalists? Since we cover 2 counties, yes, typically we keep that at about 6 per county. That can change at any time though, that's not guaranteed. That's just kind of what we typically, each year will end up with is 6 semifinalists from each county for a total of 12. But again, that's not guaranteed. We could have 8 or we could have 14. It just really depends on a number of different variables. Thank you for that question, Dustin. So it's just some eligibility information as far as applying for a scholarship program. Of course, any high school senior graduating from an accredited public or private school, an academic program with a diploma from the state of Indiana or state of Kentucky department recognized by those states and Department of Education. Planning to pursue a degree or certificate for the first time in 2023. So they cannot get the award and then sit out a semester or wait a year. It is required that they begin studies for those post-secondary degrees as of the fall in the same year in which they graduate. And they must be, applicants must be a legal U.S. citizen or a legal U.S. resident with lawful residency status. And then of course, for more detailed information about our residency policy, you can find that information on our website as well if you would ever need to, if you had questions about that. Documentation that may be required from applicants may include, but may not be limited to, their high school transcripts, which I already mentioned that the applicant is responsible for uploading. The parents, as far as financial information, we again will be looking at the tax return information. So the parents' 2021 filed tax return will be required for this year. And then other documents that may be required to verify information that is provided on the application by the applicants. So that's kind of the general information that is typically requested as far as supporting documentation goes. And not all of our scholarships are financial need based. However, we do ask for the tax returns for those that are financial need based. And again, for all those types, the criteria for our scholarships, you can find that on our website. So some of the things that are evaluated when looking at applications, academic achievement, of course, is one. Community involvement, community service hours is another. So volunteering, financial need in some cases, but not all, for all of our scholarships. Extenuating circumstances are evaluated. Applicants are required to write an essay for both the Lilly and the Common App. And then there is another scholarship that requires a separate essay that they would be prompted to complete if they are eligible to apply for that. And then the counselor request section, of course, is required for both the Lilly and the Common App, the general scholarship program. And of course, as applicants fill in the information in the application, they are prompted and they are filtered to be eligible for the different scholarships that they qualify for based on the information that they input into the application. So again, when an applicant is selected as a scholarship recipient, again, as I mentioned before, they must enroll as a full-time undergraduate student in the fall of the year in which the scholarship was awarded and the year in which they graduate. They must continue the entire academic year without interruption unless there's some exception made and approved by the foundation. And then checks are always sent directly to the school on behalf of the scholar. They are not sent to the scholar directly. They are sent to the school based on the information that is provided by the scholar when they go online and accept their award, which we'll talk about here in just a minute, the online acceptance process, which was new last year and will continue to be the same process for this year. We have made some adjustments to try to help eliminate any confusion or misunderstanding. And I'll talk about those adjustments that we're making for this year here in just a minute. So for those schools that will be selecting scholars that have scholarships specifically for their graduating seniors that are funds here at the foundation, I just want to talk a little bit about the CPA Compliance Certification Form, which is the document that's provided each year to the schools to describe what awards are available each year. So this document will say, we'll list out the scholarships, and then they will also provide the criteria for each available award, as well as the amount available to award. So this is really important because this is the guiding tool for when you are making selections for these scholarships, what the criteria, the donor's intent is for the selected scholar, as well as the available amount to award for the different scholarships. It also defines who the scholarship selection committee will be from your school, and it attests that all scholarship recipients recommended are selected on an objective and non-discriminatory basis using the selection criteria provided, and that no one on the selection committee is related by blood or marriage to any of the applicants or recipients from your school in that particular year. So if you do have counselors or teachers or anybody that would be related to potential recipients or applicants, we would obviously ask that that individual not serve in any capacity on the scholarship selection committee when selecting for scholarships that are here at the foundation. So I did want to talk a little bit about this particular document and how the schools that are sending this document along with supporting documentation will do that this year. We will continue to use Dropbox. So if there are any counselor changes or updates that maybe this year there's a new counselor or there's somebody that left, if you could please make sure you notify us of whatever changes there are at your school as far as the contacts for the counselors, we would really, really appreciate that. Otherwise, we just go with what information we've had from the previous academic year. Dropbox information will be sent via email, again, which is why it is important that we do have updated information. So we make sure that the right counselors get the email with the information about Dropbox. For Dropbox, you will have the blank PPA document already in your file folder, along with the scholar recommendation spreadsheet. One of the things that I did want to mention for this year is that it's really important. Some of the hiccups that we had last year was that we did not have accurate email information for students and or the email that was provided or used was a school email from the high school. So what we asked this year is that when reporting the scholars information on that spreadsheet, is that it is a personal email, not a school email. And that it is an email that the student understands will be the primary form of communication from us to them if they are receiving a scholarship award. So whether it is them creating an application in our portal for one of the 18 applications or scholarships that we have available through our online application, or whether it is what is reported from the counselor from one of the high school level selected scholarships. We must have a valid, active personal email address for the students. That is incredibly helpful for us in our communications later when it comes to the award acceptance process. The submissions of scholar recommendation date remains the same as last year, which is April 1st of 2023. And again, as I mentioned, scholars will complete their scholarship acceptance and agreements online. Those instructions on how scholars will accept their award and when it will be provided to the scholarships, that information will be received with their certificates on class night. So last year, and we will take full responsibility for it, there was not an instruction sheet on the front of the certificates that would give very specific information about what to expect with regards to accepting the award, where to go, at what point they will need to do it. But again, it's the email communication. The email will be incredibly important if we have an accurate email for that scholar as to whether or not they're actually going to receive the notification that says, please go here, click on this link to accept your award. They need to log in to accept their award and go through that whole process electronically. We will certainly make sure that there is more specific instruction this year on where they will need to go and or who they will be receiving information from with regards to our scholarship support team. One thing I do want to encourage those applicants for our program, the 18 different scholarships available online through our website, there is very specific information. It's the frequently asked questions section that I know that the students don't really want to take the time to read through, but there's a lot of very important information for them to read, and will answer a lot of their questions with regards to what instruction they would need if they do accept it, if they are a scholar and they do receive a scholarship, like where will the scholarship check be sent? And about what time of the year will that check go out? And just those types of what can they use their scholarship award for? And just so you all know, I know there's been some question about this in the past. The scholarships can be used for academic tuition and related fees. So that type of stuff, that information is available to the applicants. It's just a matter of maybe taking some time to kind of read through that information and just get familiar with what our program allows and what our program guidelines are. Let's see. So that's really pretty much all that I have this morning. I want to thank you all again. Like I said before, we work with 25 different high schools and 50 counselors, and in a year that varies a little bit. But we couldn't make this program happen without the counselors, without you all, without the schools being a partner with us in this process. I know we've had some changes with our program. We changed to a different online application, and we changed to a different way in which the counselors report now using Dropbox. But we certainly want to thank you for being patient with us and for just rolling with us in these changes that we're making to try to make everything more electronic and less paper. So we hope that with Dropbox, we plan to do that again this year. And that I know it's different, but it certainly is helpful in making our process more, like I said, streamlined and in an electronic format. So with that, I am going to open it up for any questions. Margaret, is there anything that you can think of that maybe I might not have mentioned?
No, I think that covers it.
Okay, so Travis says the general app and Lily app are the same application, but students need to complete both to be considered. They are two separate applications. So when the student logs in, they create a login and a password, and they'll log into the portal. They will see the two different applications in which they can apply. So they have to fill the information in 2 different times. They have to upload their transcript 2 different times, and they have to send a counselor request 2 different times. Unfortunately, our Lily program runs a little bit differently on a little more of an aggressive timeline. That is kind of out of our control. That's really, we administer this program on behalf of the Lily Endowment. So we have to go with what timeline we're provided for them each year. So that's why we kind of do things a little bit separately with that program. But obviously, very exciting scholarships. We award 4 Lily scholarships each year, 2 in Clark County and 2 in Floyd County. Students must reside in one of those counties in order to be eligible. They could potentially go to a school outside of the county. This day and age, that is much more common. But they must reside in Clark or Floyd County to qualify for our Lily Scholarship Program here at the Community Foundation of Southern Indiana. I see Brian Schmidt, I see on the website the county's eligible for the Paul Ogle Scholarship this year. I'm not sure, there's schools, there's a rotation each year for specific schools. So this year for the Ogle Scholarship, we have, let me get pulled up really quick. The schools eligible are Borden Christian Academy, Lanesville, Silver Creek, and every year Switzerland County is eligible. So those are the schools in the rotation. And yes, all of the other eligibility requirements are also listed. The student must reside in one of those counties and attend one of those schools to be eligible. Thank you for that question, Brian. Margaret, were you going to say something? I'm sorry.
Oh, okay. I had those schools up. But
okay. Any other questions for the program this year? No. Okay, well, we did record this session this morning, so we will be, of course, this will be available. I think our marketing and communications team plans to send this out just in case anybody was unable to attend or wants to forward it on to somebody else in your counseling office. So we did record that for your convenience. And again, if you do have any further questions, don't hesitate to reach out to myself or Margaret. But we do have a lot of information on our website for the students and parents to take advantage of this year. So I would highly encourage pushing them to our website for more information about the scholarships that are available. I just want to reiterate one more time, and we are happy to hear any feedback from you all as well. Please don't hesitate to send us your thoughts and with regards to our process. One of the things that we really need to make sure this year is that we have the correct email addresses for those selected scholars, so that the communications to them, we can get those communications to them timely and make sure that they are able to accept their award, and we are able to get the checks to where they have selected to attend school. All right, well, if there's no other questions, I just want to again say thank you for your partnership in helping to make this program successful, and Again, don't hesitate to reach out if you have any questions. And we're really excited about this year. Hard to believe we're already into another school year and starting the program again. So good luck to all your students in applying to our scholarship and scholarships. So thank you all. I hope you all have a good rest of the day.